Welcome to the Buyer's Introduction to Business. This presentation was created with you in mind, your scheduling, your comfortability, your access, understanding that home ownership may be a conversation, but with your lifestyle and your scheduling and the different places that your attention can be pulled, wanting to make sure to still be able to get you this accurate information. It is live recording. So there's going to be some wrestling, some notes, some pens, some papers, but it's just to make sure that we're covering everything for you. And so that when we do speak again, everything's already outlined. Okay. So little known fact, communication is 68% visual. And with that in mind, this presentation was wonderfully prepared for you to be also engaged and entertained by myself. I'm Kiara T. Hawkins. I'm a speaker, I'm a healer, I'm a magnate. Magnate's just a special word for entrepreneur, which today I'm here as your preferred realtor with the information about real estate for you. And when it comes to me and real estate, I believe that real estate is the luxury, okay? Now, I am a nationally associated realtor. So that means I hold the morals, the ethics, the standards across the nation. I take that very serious. A lot of agents are not realtors, so they kind of do what they want or they do it part-time and they don't take it as serious. This is my life, okay? So I am licensed in Georgia and California. When doing business in Georgia, I am a part of the Atlanta Board of Realtors, and Drake Realty helps me with my business on that side. Now, when I'm doing business in California, I do business in the Orange County area primarily, which is going to be LA down to San Diego, Southern California, and then right below LA and right above San Diego is going to be Orange County. And when I'm doing business in California, Keller Williams in Irvine helps me out with my paperwork there. Now, I've been blessed and I've been flattered enough to be able to have so many wonderful people say so many wonderful things about me as far as testimonials and reviews. These are testimonials and reviews from colleagues that have become friends, from friends that have become colleagues. This young lady in the yellow is actually now a realtor. It's a friend turned agent here in Georgia, and it's amazing because she swears I inspired this power pose, and it's amazing. And then this young lady at the top right hand corner is actually a client that is now turned into a realtor because she just appreciated the process that we went through so much. According to other people, I've been described as being professional. I'm very hardworking. I'm very knowledgeable. I'm very empathetic. I take your process very serious. As long as you're committed, I'm committed. Now, amongst real estate, I also have my own development company that I oversee, making sure that people have access to custom business plans, credit restoration. They understand finances in relation to business, real estate tutoring. I have some affiliations with the CE Shop, with Identity IQ. I do tutoring through the Cultivation of Real Estate. That is a school that I founded here in Georgia that helps with tutoring and just information between Georgia and California live and then independently virtually. You can also catch me doing videos, talking on podcasts, just about information all across the world, or should I say all across the board, because real estate touches schools, it touches homes, it touches privacy, public, politics. So when it comes to real estate and when it comes to people, it goes really deep for me. Now, if you're asking me about who I am, I will just tell you, I'm a mom. I am the mother of two daughters. I love animals. I have two golden doodles. We're getting a cat at some point within the next year or two. You can find me out in nature. I like hiking. I like the beach. I like Zen stuff, coffee, tea, yoga. Again, I like to talk. So you can see me recording, maybe speaking at a podcast, or even vocally recording, not professionally, but singing is another one of my talents. With all of these things that have been put together from me, from my accreditations, from other people, the whole point in even talking about it is that you can trust that I can lead you to home ownership, okay? You can trust that. And the number one order of business that I have is to inform you that Home ownership is a process, okay? It's a marathon. This is something that takes time. It's done in pieces. I like to celebrate each one of those pieces. Collectively, today we're going to be talking about it in 3 pieces, okay? So the number one, which is different from what a lot of agents do, is I'm super huge on reviewing your financials. I believe that even if you don't purchase a home, this conversation right here is going to get you ready for anything. Because when it comes to financials, before you go out and buy anything, whether it's a house, groceries, a pair of shoes, a vacation, we need to know what we're working with. And the truth is, purchasing a home costs. Now, when you talk real estate, we're going to be talking about things like back end ratios, front end ratios. We're going to be talking about your savings account, earnest money, because whatever price home you're going to buy, say you're buying a $300,000 home, you're going to need at least $3,000 worth of earnest money. If it's a $500,000 home, you're going to need at least $500,000. If you want to play ball and bid, you could add another $2,000. So if it's a $500,000 home, you could put $7,000 worth of earnest money in. If you really want to stand out, there's inspections, there's appraisals that you pay for out of pocket up front before you even get the house. And guess what? You could waive those things or you could not. Sometimes it's not even possible. I never recommend it to anyone to ever waive these things. So I'm telling you now that we just want to be prepared. Closing costs. A lot of people think that the earnest money is the closing costs. They're 2 different things. It's against the law for you not to put something down for yourself. So even with affordable housing or with down payment assistance, you're still going to have to bring something to the table. And then don't forget those commute expenses. We're going to be looking at houses. You're going to be driving here, driving there. And all of that is just to start the home ownership process. On the back end, you're going to have to pay for your relocation, your moving expenses, your furnishings. Like, what about that new couch you want? What about that new car that you want that you can't get till after the fact? You could have to find a sitter for your child or children or your pets. You might need to transport your vehicle if it's going to be out of state. There's flight costs, cleaning expenses for your old and new home. And then there's the billing and information transfers. There's a lot of money that goes in consciously and subconsciously to moving. But don't get overwhelmed, because there are options for you when it comes to finding which loan is going to fit for you. So know that there is an array. It's not hopeless. Conventional loans are the easier to get, but you got to really be on your stuff. You got to really kind of have your money together. FHA loans are one of the most popular. Really flexible. They have a lot of tools. The VA loans are for service members and for veterans and eligible surviving spouses. And then you can always go through the bank, which is something that may be if you're getting a short sale or a foreclosure. And that's another story. But the point is, no matter what's going on, credit is going to be key. Credit is the cornerstone piece of all of these processes. And when it comes to credit, your score will depend on the program that you choose. So no, I can't tell you what your credit score should be, needs to be. Some say 5 something, but they need this and that. Some say it has to be a 7. It changes depending on what's going on with the economy. But I will tell you that once we get started, you need to protect your credit no matter what. We cannot mess with it, borrow, move around, nothing. Also, I want to tell you as an expert to be careful with your credit hats. I'm aware of authorizations. I'm aware of, boosting, but make sure that all of these things can last through the process, and make sure you're checking your state law. Lastly, we do offer credit restoration services, but I do want to be very clear that I am not a credit repairer. I do have credit repairing tools because it is imperative to this process. But I'm saying that because I'm not going to just give you to a credit repair person and say, bye, call me when you're done. Let me know when you get it up. I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to stay with that credit repair person and make sure that you get through the process, because that's just a stepping stone to the real prize. Remember, real estate is the luxury. And when it comes to all of these things that we're discussing, from money and credit, all of this is for this guy right here. Check him out. It's for the lender. And remember, the lender can be a private lender. It can be an institution, but whatever, it's the person who's going to be giving you the money for your house. If you're buying it cash, kudos to you. I cannot wait. And again, this conversation is just something you can share, something to pass along. And even if you can buy it cash, you may just want to get a loan just because. But this guy, the lender, is swimming in the finances that we need. And they're going to be looking at all of these things. And we want to be prepared before we get to them. And one of the things that we can do to prepare before we get to them is have some of these support documents together. Everything that we talked about as far as the monies, they're going to want to see it on paper. There's no amount of money that you can have in your account that cannot be accounted for. They're going to ask for check stubs, W-2s, 1099s, tax returns with an S. So yes, make sure you filed. They're going to ask for employer contact information, bank statements. If someone's gifting you money or just, you get an allowance, they're going to ask for a gift letter from that person. They're going to ask for accurate rental history contact. They're going to ask for your ID, your passport, your social security number, amongst other things. I'm not in the financing industry. I'm in the real estate industry, but we work hand in hand because I can't find you a home without their finances on your behalf. But we can start being responsible, start getting ready, and start being progressive by having these things together. Now, this is one of those tough talks that kind of shake people up a little bit and have them like, oh my God, buying a house is so much. And you're right, it's a lot. But remember, we talked about it being a process and we talked about it being a marathon. But let me just be transparent and go over the story of what most agents do and what happens when we don't have this conversation. And when I say most agents, I'm saying agents, not realtors. The Lord forbid they be a realtor. I would die because I just love us realtors. Okay. So if you direct your attention here to this wonderful story, if you look at number 1, you see this wonderfully excited babe here, just naked, wet, dripping with excitement, ready to get out here. And it speaks to the vulnerability of you, the client, without this information, without having that talk about finances. And if you look at number 2, you have this agent that says, hey, you want to buy a house? They're going shopping. They're throwing everything in the basket. They're excited. You're calling everyone, telling them you're about to purchase a home. You have an agent. You're looking at things. And this agent is taking you to see the biggest, most beautiful, expensive homes. And they're just motivating you and inspiring you and speaking to your heartstrings. But look at number 3. That agent knows exactly what they're doing. They're getting you in an emotional state where you're like, yes, ha, ha, ha. They're really wanting now. Now they're vulnerable. Now I can talk them into doing some things and I can be a little bit more leaning. Now I'm going to have that conversation about financials and money and credit. And if you look at number 4, you're now left in this place of, I don't have enough. I don't have those documents. Oh, the lender says I'm not qualified for that much house. And you're doing anything that you can to find the money, to find the documents. And it puts you in a real state of stress and duress. And if you look at over number 5, you have this agent saying, it's okay that you can't get that big house, that you can't get that right now. Borrow it, ask your friends. And then you get to number 6, where now that agent says, hey, just pick one, pick anything, right? You could pick anything just to not have to go back and disappoint your family, your friends, to not be shamed. Just pick something. And guess what? They tell you, we'll get something in a couple of years. This can be a starter home. And then number 7, they run off with their commission. And number 8, they leave you with this little house or this baby situation that you're not proud of, that you feel like you could have went without. You're stuck on a contract now. And you can't really blame that agent because that agent really didn't do anything but play on your heartstrings, right? They never told you what to do or what not to do. They just kind of led you. But you were misinformed, or I can't even say misinformed. You were never informed. And by the time they informed you, it was no longer about the information. It was about pride. It was about ego. This is the story of what happens when you have leadership and, industry leaders that are not pointing you in the right direction. But this is not going to happen to you because you have a finance team. And this is very important to us. This is why we're having the conversation. These finances have to be discussed. You have to be accurate. You have to be honest so that we can go ahead and work through this together. Okay? Take a deep breath in. And let's see what's next for us. the approval letter. This is the whole point of going through everything. So I believe that if we get these things done before we get to the lender, it can be smooth. We don't want to get to the lender and looking irresponsible and lost, because they will skip over us, or they will like throw us at the bottom of the basket, or they'll drag their feet. And with real estate, it's really, really, really big to be on time and to stay accurate with our deadlines, because you can lose money once we go under contract and the lender is not doing what they're supposed to do. Also, we don't want to get to the lender and have them pull our credit and gather all these documents just to say something we already knew. We're not ready. So we have this conversation up front. We go to the lender all put together, and then we can tell the lender, hey, don't play with us because we're not playing with you, right? Remember, they're our friend, but people are only going to give you what you give them. They're going to help people who help themselves. But this leads us to our next step of 3, number 2, once we get that approval letter, which really gets us in the door, which shows our sellers that we're serious and we really want to purchase the home, that we're responsible and that we're ready for this. Now we can go look at the inventory. Now, the inventory is going to be basically looking at houses. But before we get into looking at houses and picking the one we want out, I have to talk to you about the market. Now, knowing the market is not something that the everyday person knows. We hear rumors about the buyer's market, the seller's market, the economy going up or down, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to educate you. So just so you know, a buyer's market is when there is 6 months of supply, meaning that you can go out and there's house everywhere. And you're just really not in a rush. And you're just really just going to negotiate and take your time. Now, a seller's market is when there's 4 months or less of supply. So that means you got to be on it. That means you don't have time to negotiate. That means there's not a lot of houses. So guess what? The seller might be a little bit more firm. But in a normal, healthy economy, our market is 4 to 6 months of supply. Now, here's the trick. Whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market or a normal market, it's going to strongly depend on where you are, when you're there, how long you plan on staying there, what you're looking for. So this goes really deep, because it can be a buyer's market in one zip code, but it can be a seller's market in a state. You know what I mean? And then the nation could be on one side or the other. So this is really going to get down to the neighborhoods that we're picking and the locations that we're looking at. Speaking of, I myself can show you inventory in Latin America, which includes Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Mexico, if you're interested in something like that, or if you end up wanting to look at a vacation home or a second home, I can show you homes in Florida. If you're looking for something more coastal, also keep in mind that Florida does have inland land and they also have rural land. So it's not all, metropolises like Miami and Orlando. There are some small, quaint towns in Florida as well as Alabama, which don't forget Gulf Shore, Alabama also has access to the coast. So Alabama, Birmingham specifically, has a thriving economy that's redoing itself, building up their highways, getting those houses turned. So that's a great opportunity to find somewhere with lots and lots of land. And then there is Georgia, which I am based out of, the Atlanta, which is urban and contemporary, one of the largest airports in the country, if not the largest airport in the country. Really big for business and hustle and bustle, but there's also places like Savannah, Macon, Augusta that are building and are not as busy and not as expensive. I also have access to Colorado, Denver. Great weather if you're an outdoor person. I heard the mosquitoes are not as bad as it is here in the South. There's lots of wildlife. There's a lot going on there as far as newness, but one of the biggest things is they're very green in Colorado. So I have access to that inventory. And then with me being licensed in California, I can see all of California, which is also going to include Northern and Southern California, of which we talked about. I'll be based out of Irvine. But with all that being said, I just want you to know that you have options, okay? So don't get stuck on what you're looking for, because your heart and your mind should have just opened up to the possibilities. And as far as all the nitty-gritty things and the information, you can leave that to me. I am trained in all of these softwares: FMLS, CRMLS, Matrix, Realist, Remind, RPR, The Great, Showing Time, Market Stats, Cloud CMA, and Data Masters. And if you've never heard of some of these things, that's perfect, because a lot of people are used to Zillow and they're used to Realtor.com. And a lot of agents will tell you that those things are not accurate. And you'll say, well, what are you looking at? We're looking at these softwares, and they are only accessible by realtors, by industry affiliated personnel such as myself, which is fine, because not only do I have access to these things, I'm trained in these things, in addition to having national certifications that fall in short sales and foreclosures, luxury homes, which came with negotiation and marketing. And I am a pricing strategy advisor, which is like our version of appraisal. I'm not an appraiser, but I'm really close. This class was taught by an appraiser. It shows you the appraiser's view versus the real estate view, and how we work together and even share information. So I say all that to say that you're in really good hands. You can think about anything that you want to think about as far as home and what you imagine your life being like inside of your home. And between all of these options, all of this information, I should be able to help. Now, I do not work alone when we're talking about national inventory. Let's talk about referrals. The truth is, you can go anywhere and I can still assist you. This information is the foundation, it's the basics, and it's going to be the same everywhere. What's going to be different is when we get to the point of actually opening the doors and doing the contracts. And it's at that point that I can still vet you an agent to make sure they're just as good as I am, and that they're taking care of you, as well as check in to make sure that you actually get to closing. Because by the time you get to them, say you want to go to a place I didn't cover, like New York, I can still make sure that I get you with a great New York agent that is neighborhood specific, that has what you're looking for, that's not looking for what you're looking for, but has it. And then I can make sure that you're comfortable along the way, check in with them, check in with you to make sure that you complete the process. So you can go anywhere, okay? You're not stuck here. If you have a family member that's out of town that also needs some assistance, guess what? You can refer them, because education and information is amazing. And real estate is what? The luxury. So all I need you to do is really think about who you are and what you're looking for. Think about where you work or where you want to work or your ideal work. Think about your hobbies. Are you more into cold, like skiing, or do you want to surf? Think about schools or the lack of schools. Think about parks. Or do you want more city and more skyscrapers, high rises? Think about grocery stores. Think about shopping centers. Are you looking for outlets, warehouses? Think about your bedrooms and baths. Do you need something bigger or smaller? Think about special features, such as the cathedral roofs, or think about fireplaces, yard space. Are you out here wanting to actually get in your yard, plant a garden, or do you want something minimal? Think about your guests. Are you going to have family in, or do you want something that's more secluded just for you? Think about indoor and outdoor features. Do you want the sliding doors that kind of bring the outside in, or do you want something real cozy? And then think about security, of which is only going to be talked about in terms of real estate due to fair housing. I can't give you specifics on race or age or things of that nature, but guess what? The lovely thing about it is I don't have to, because I'm focused on you and your needs. And based off of that, I can put you in places that are conducive to your happiness without ever talking about anyone else. Now, once we go over this part, it'll be time to actually go out into the field together or with that other agent. But remember, we're a team, and we're going to select the best fit options for you. Once we say, you know what, I like that house, it'll be my job, our job, me and my sales partners, to make sure that we research that area, research the route that we're going to be traveling, evaluate the listing price to see what the prices are in that area. That's when we'll be checking, is it a buyer's market, a seller's market? Is the market good right here? That's when we'll be looking at, is there anything developing, any hazards? Then we're going to schedule with a viewing appointment. Now, disclosure, I am a realtor by trade. This is my life, and the industry is not that big, not locally, not nationally. So one thing that I'm known for, one thing I'm good for, is treating other agents with respect, spoiling them even by being kind, by being informative. And that makes them want to talk to me. That makes them want to work with me. That makes them want to give me information. And that's what we're looking for. We want them to tell us about the things that we can't see. And because we're being so kind and we're leading with respect, they tend to do that. They'll tell us what the seller's looking for. They'll tell us what the seller is not looking for. They'll save us time. They'll save us heartache. And that's all because, again, we're working collectively. And then we'll go view the home. And when we go view this home, they'll be knowing we're coming. We should have everything laid out as far as alarm codes. We'll be able to take a look at some of the things they mentioned, and then we'll reevaluate that option again. And we'll do this for each home that you look at. And I'll be very specific, myself or the sales partner I'm working with, to make sure that they're not wasting your time and sending you things that you don't want. That we're looking at the things that you talked about and that you aspired for, whatever price range that you're in, whatever state that you're in, or if we need to take those qualities and put them in another state and see if you're open to that, or if we need to build or whatnot. Okay. Woo. The togetherness. We were just talking about that. Coming together is the beginning. Coming together with myself as a partner is just the beginning. Remember that I have partners and I have teams from systems and people. Then there's going to be the lender, the appraiser, the inspector. Then there's going to be the seller and the seller's agent. And remember, they're giving up their home that they have memories in as well. And we're becoming a part of that story when we purchase. So we all want to work together. It's not war. It's not catty. It doesn't have to be. That depends on the integrity that we lead with. And I promise you, I lead with integrity. And then keeping together is the progress, going under contract, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do and we're doing what we're supposed to do. And being able to have that conversation when someone's not, to say, hey, this isn't what we talked about. Because guess what? That's fair too. And again, when you lead with respect and integrity, it leaves the door open to be able to agree to disagree and to be able to be firm and accountable with each other. And lastly, together is the success, because we need both the seller and the buyer at that table for closing. So remember, it's not just us, it's us. And then our team gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a big familial environment. And think about what we're doing. We're housing you. Okay. The final and last part, the third part, which is submitting the offer. Now that we've picked something, they know about us, we're going to actually go ahead and we're going to get ready to put an offer in on the house. And this part can be super exciting, but stay tuned so I can tell you why we need to really just stay calm about this. So for one, we have to be ready. Okay, everything we do from now on when we put this offer in is have to be done with intention. Nothing from now on is emotional or fun. We just got done with that part. Okay, this is super serious, and this is where I start to play a more larger role. Okay, a more involved role. Okay, because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pre-plan. We pre-plan everything in advance. This is when I'm going to come to you, smile off, and we're going to be serious. And I'm going to say, do you have the money together? I'm about to put this offer in. We need to get that honest money to them. We need to let them know we're serious. Do we want to go up? Do we want to go down? We need to get whatever inspector notified. I do not promote waiving inspections. Not safe. Okay. I'd rather pay the inspection and lose it and say, oh, this ain't what I was looking for, than get into the house and the roof start caving in and there's nothing I can do for you. There's nothing you can do for yourself. You now have a broken house. Okay. So we have to get that inspection. But this is when I call the person and say, hey, I'm about to put an offer in and I'm going to need you here within 24 to 48 hours because I need that report back within 24 to 48 hours. Can you be here today? Can you be here first thing in the morning? This is when things really start to get going. And lastly, go ahead and have that appraisal money on hand, because if we have in that contract that we have 5 days or 14 days or 7 days, as soon as we get that inspection, there's no need to hold it. We want the house or we don't want the house, and then we need to get the appraiser in. Sometimes the appraiser takes forever. The appraiser is ordered by the bank. There's nothing we can do about it, okay, people? We'll have to wait, and that's fine. We just need to make sure that we get that inspector in and out so that we can get to the appraiser. And everything that you see on this page right here is about money. earnest money. We got to pay the inspector, appraisal, money. Everything needs to be in hand. And this is going to be the key to success because we're going to be rolling in real ready. Now, outside of that, I'll be picking up the phone, calling that listing agent, saying, hey, I'm Kiara T. Hawkins. I'm representing this person. We're about to put an offer in on your house. What are you looking for before I complete the purchase and sale agreement? Like I said, all agents aren't realtors and all realtors aren't great. So they may not always be the friendliest, but I'm good at my job. And I'm going to be trying to get out of them if they're going to give us closing costs or not. It's up to them. Finance contingencies. How much time do we have? Is there a specific type of loan they're looking for? Because I can't disappoint you. I need to tell you up front, hey, I know you want this house, but they're not interested in a VA loan. They're interested in a conventional. Or, hey, I'm going to tell you up front, they already have an appraisal in for FHA and it stated this, so we're going to have to offer that. Our timeline. Do you need the keys right away? Does the seller need to stay in it for another month or two? Can you wait? What's really going on? That's why I'm picking up the phone and talking to that listing agent. And then we have to stay on top of the lender. Because we just did everything. We're pre-planned on us, okay? We done paid everything. We got everything together. We done called everybody. But that lender has to do their part. And we'll need to stay on top of them. And I'll need your help to do it because ultimately you are the cornerstone, okay? After all of that is done, there's nothing else to do. You're just going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait on the appraisal, wait on the inspection, wait on them to accept or decline the offer, wait on them to fix things if things need to be fixed, wait on them to move out. We're just going to be waiting. And this can be super, super stressful for people. People are like, what they say? What did they say? What can I do? But I'm going to give you a couple of tips that help you wait in peace. And I call these pro tips for peace, okay? So number one, do not get excited until we agree upon the appraisal. So many people, like we talked about in that story, get emotionally invested before it's time, okay? Stay calm, stay zen. That's why I'm so zen, because I have to stay calm, right? And remember that if that appraisal comes back low or off, we may have to negotiate it. We may have to order another one. We may have to pull the deal. So wait. Just because we're under contract and we're doing the inspection doesn't mean that we're done. Stay calm, okay? Number one, don't go around telling everybody, yeah, we're under contract, we're good. Maybe not. Stay calm, okay? Two, don't forget to organize and structure your move and relocation process. So many people start trying to do my real estate job with researching and they're looking on Zillow while I'm looking on my systems that I just showed you, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And they're also like asking their friends, what do they think I'm doing? Instead of packing, instead of buying boxes. And then they end up, boom, it's time to go. And they're like, it's so stressful. And now they're trying to hurry up and pack and move things. And honestly, I can't help you or get help for you if you don't know what's going on. You haven't taken stock, you haven't packed. So that's how so often you end up with a deal closing. And then the agent's just saying, okay, well, I gotta go because we're working and you're now chaotic putting stuff together and I can't help you do that much. But if I wanted to help you move or get a mover or order you pizza, you don't even know when those things are happening because your head was so far into the process when nothing was going on but waiting anyway, right? Lastly, do not forget that the lender will be constantly checking for different things. So stay financially still. That means don't buy anything. Don't loan no money. Don't accept no money. Don't nothing. Stay financially still. Whatever you were doing to get approved, stay right there. If you want to do anything, call me, call the lender, but do not move. If you call your lender, let me know that you called your lender so I can also be aware because remember, it's not just me, you, and the lender. It's me, you, the lender, this. The lender's not just a lender. There's a processor, there's a loan originator, there's managers. We have to stay together and we have to stay still. And that is exactly what I will be doing if you're looking for me. I'll be reviewing your deadlines and you can find me overseeing the contingencies, making sure you don't lose your money, basically. Making sure that they're fixing what they say they're going to fix, making sure that the attorney's good, the lender's good, the processing's good, the appraiser's good, making sure that the other agent's good, the seller's good, making sure that if you need any help with anything as far as dimensions or the size of the bedrooms, that we're good. If you want to go ahead and start thinking about, you know what, I want to put in a ceiling fan, that you're at Home Depot, that if you're thinking about taking the carpet up, that you have a contractor. Those are the things that I'll be doing day and night. That is my job, to make sure that all of these people come together and we all get to dun, 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 the closing table. So it's closing day. And you'll know that it's about time to close because 3 days before closing, you have to review and sign paperwork going over all the money that's due, everything that'll be bought to closing. So you have 3 days in advance to be able to see this. So if anything has to be moved or anything like that, I'll be there. You'll know. But when it's time to sign that paperwork, we're like at least 3 days out and we're good to go. And then you'll get the keys or whatever we decide on, and we are finally good to go. Now, let me caution you. Whatever you do on closing day, and I'll be telling you this all the way up until there, closing day is after you have the keys. You see her with those keys? It's not before the keys. It's not when you're partying and celebrating and clapping. It's when the keys are in your hand. Because if you buy anything or do anything that morning, then later on in the afternoon at closing, they may pull the deal. They will be checking constantly. Stay financially still. Okay? I believe in you. I don't have a problem. You're making an excellent choice in me. And I believe that informed people make informed decisions. Those are the people that win. Again, if you're not ready, one, I know that if you stick with me, you're going to get ready. And two, I know that you're going to be able to take this information, share this information, and make someone else's process, someone else's life. It could be your children. It could be your best friend. You're going to make it great. Okay? So in your information space, in your space of being informed, this here is me servicing you as a customer. I'm just here right now giving you information. You know, it's very laid back. It's cool. I'm not doing much. I'm just talking, chatting, and just kind of telling you how things are to be. But if you're ready, and I believe you are if you're here, ready to do something, whether it's fix your credit, whether it's to actually start looking at different areas to see what state you're going to pick, talking to friends and family to let them know, hey, I have options. It's real. Then it's going to be time for you to become my client so that I can perform. You see how Mickey's running? Like, baby, we want to get moving. And in order for me to move like that, you would have to be my client. And as a client, you would complete the documentation that allows me to represent you immediately. Is risk-free. I tell clients all the time, the same way you sign yourself into a contract is the same way that you can sign yourself out of a contract. Of course, contracts may vary. We don't want to get far into the situation, and I've done far too much for you to then disappear on me. But I want you to know that it's safe. I'm very understanding. I'm progressive. There's systems, there's steps for everything. So I am sure that you will be 100% guaranteed. And if you are not, which is rarely happen, or if something happens to come up, I'm a person that understands that we need to just sign out of the contract. You're not going to be stuck. This is a process, and we want to get started, and we want to keep this rapport and this communication going to make sure that we're moving. And when we're not, that's a conversation. And one of your options is to say, I'm not ready, or I've changed my mind. And I am so not attached to that because, like I said, I know you learned. And at this rate, once we get moving, as you see through the process, you're going to close. Okay? So thank you so much for your time. Congratulations in advance on whatever your next step is. And remember that real estate is the luxury. You can simply shoot me a text or call me. Text is preferred, and just say, hey, I'm ready for the contract. I'll send over that documentation that will allow me to represent you. And then we will move forward onto your questionnaire to start pulling everything and making sure your credit's together, getting it to my team accountant to make sure that we know that you're good to go before you get to the lender. And then making sure that we pick a lender together that you're very comfortable with and who takes us both very serious and who takes your closing serious, and we'll get you closed. Until we meet again, I'm Kiara T. Hawkins, speaker, healer, magnate, your preferred realtor. And until we meet again, keep growing.